Ready.
Right the whole time. Mike, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. We'll start off with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we do have a quorum. First up, we do have the consent agenda. So on the consent agenda, we have the minutes from the January 4th board meeting, and the January 5th board meeting, joint workshop, and then copies of the December 21st and January 22nd. Anything to discuss?
There's one misspelling on the third page, halfway down. Right above where it says Murphy Park Project Update. I think that was expected rather than accepted.
I'm sorry, it's the third page.
Third page.
Yeah.
Under old business.
Just a bit.
Mhm.
Oh,
Should be accepted instead of accepted.
okay.
I have no other changes.
That's the only one I had.
And
Okay.
that change, I will make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, you just sign what you sign, initial one. Okay, next up, any public comment before we do the state of the township? Okay. Okay, it's all you.
Okay, good evening. The state statute requires that the township trustee present the previous year's financial report. By law, we have to do that. Starting in 2012, we started a new tradition during the state of the township, which is a presentation of goals that we set for the prior year, what was the status of them, and then our goals for this year. So tonight, that's what we're going to be doing. But before we start, I want to welcome everybody. I want to thank members of the town council, school board, library, former board members, public, political opponents, et cetera. So thank you for coming. We'll start with the 2020 goals. So tonight's presenters will be in a certain order, but first is township administration. So first of all, in 2021, our completed goals, first of all, we did create a township succession plan. We took all the different positions in the township and looked at them to see how we would fill those positions if there was a vacancy for some reason. So we did that and we have implemented it. We completed the Murphy Park master plan, deciding how we were going to do Murphy Park. That was done and adopted. We completed plans for Station 144 and begins construction. We secured the Murphy Park bond, and we worked with HR and department heads on studying performance pay. Our township 21 goals that were in progress are ongoing. We have, as you know, 5 abandoned cemeteries that we take care of. North Lawn, which is the one that's sitting over by the town hall. In the past, we did map out certain plots for future burial, and we are in the process of getting those policies in place. And my plan is to present the policies to the board at the April board meeting, and that will complete that time. Work culture, we continue to seek ways to improve the township work culture. Retirement programs, our goal was to finish the review of the retirement programs for non-merit and merit employees who are not on the 77 fund on PERF, and that's an ongoing thing. We also completed our goal was to complete the 2020 rainy day projects that were ongoing at the end of 2020, which is the fire training ground, which we're still doing, and then Station 142 upgrade, which was completed. Beginning the construction of Murphy Park, one of the goals was to seek and obtain grants to assist in the funding of Murphy Park. Is ongoing on that. One of the goals was to work with the Indiana legislature to find solutions to tax caps, which is a real hindrance to, like our areas of population growth. And I personally have been working with two of the state legislators over the past year and working with them now. And I think in 2023, there will be possibly some solutions for that introduced to the state legislature next year. We've been working with the HR and department heads on the mutual action plan. Instead of doing an employee evaluation, we did that instead, and it's still ongoing on that. Working with implementing trainings on leadership, better recruiting, retention, and compliance. We also had some additional accomplishments that were over and above our goals. One thing we did is we began with the town council, starting having joint workshops for ways to improve and make a stronger community. We also purchased with cash reserves and opened up our 5th Township Park, which is the Pock Park. So it was opened up in November of last year. We also collaborated with the town, school, and library on voluntary annexation to help ensure that other communities cannot encroach into the township. We've been working with, starting with the western boundary and working on that. We're talking to property owners on voluntary annexation to build what I call the wall up on the western side, and we'll do it across the northern side. But that's been a joint collaboration of the school and the library and the township working with the town, because they're the ones that have the authority. We also had our audit this last year for 2019 and 2020. It was completed. We had a clean audit. We've also developed Township Community Engagement Department and hired our director for that, which is good enough. So our 2022 Township goals and objectives. Number 1 is to eliminate the debt from the 2007 Park and Fire Equipment Bond. Those are 2 separate bonds. They're 20-year bonds. And we've been saving up money to do that, and we will be eliminating both of those this year, which means to the taxpayers, they won't be paying off those final 5 years of the park bonds and the fire equipment bond. That fire equipment bond is also for equipment we don't even have anymore. We're working with the Fire and Parks Department, completing current construction projects. The anticipated completion date for Station 144 is March, with Training Ground April, and then with Murphy Park in May. We'll also be working with the Parks Management to help implement the Murphy Park business plan. Our director and assistant director put together an awesome business plan that's been checked over by some CPAs, and if implemented, it should be very successful. We also will be continuing to work with the town council of Avon on joint workshops, and those will be expanded to include the library board and the school board, so that we're make it even stronger. We'll also continue discussing for the town of Avon and the schools about a new community youth sports area. We've been starting to hear about that a little bit. And we will, as I said, completely implement the burial policy, and we'll be doing that at the April board meeting. Be working with the department heads and boards to create a 2-way community service policy. This was postponed due to COVID. What that means is our employees being able to volunteer out in the community, or others volunteering to help out the township. So it'll be a 2-way thing. We'll set up a policy. Work with HR to improve the environment, pay, equity, and benefits, and the mutual action plan. Work closely with HR to build and offer leadership trainings focused on recruiting, retention, and compliance. And with the help of HR and the fire administration, improve our fire leadership development program. We have a lot of firefighters in the future here will be retiring, and we're waiting to work with the younger ones to get them moving up in the ranks of leadership. Complete the review of the township retirement program. We have a new HR director, and that was a goal that she'll be talking about that in a while. And finally, our final goal for the township is to study the feasibility of the township retiree medical plan. So that's a study that we're doing. So that's the township administration's part. Next up will be the township assistant's presentation.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bobby Vickers. I am the Township Assistance Director here for Washington Township. Okay, so some completed goals from last year was committed to learning responsibilities of this position as I had just started in November of 2020. So when it came time to make goals for last year, I'd only been in this position for roughly about 2 months. So that was definitely a big goal of mine, was to really learn all of the aspects that went into this role, and to do them to the best of my abilities, so that I can best serve the residents of Washington Township. Back in September, I attended the Indiana Township Association annual conference and also completed 2 other additional trainings throughout 2021. So in 2021, we had 169 requests come in to our office for some sort of financial assistance. That could be anything from rent, utilities, burial assistance, clothing. And of those 169, 81 residents from a total of 31 households within Washington Township received financial assistance from us. We provided $60,645 worth of assistance, and of that $60,000, $26,500 were to 2 different grants to local non-profits. So some ongoing goals for township assistance is to connect and work with other service providers within the township, such as landlords, food pantries, like really any other social services, that when applicants come seeking assistance, to be able to provide those different kinds of referrals for other things that they may need that our office necessarily can't provide to them. Increase personal knowledge of resources available within Washington Township. Anybody that is familiar with social services, things can turn over quickly, and just as quick as, a new program starts, another one ends. So just trying to keep abreast of those within our community as best as possible. Increasing community awareness of services to the residents of Washington Township. Sometimes even when I have individuals calling, they're not sure what township assistance is, or necessarily like what all we provide. So just making sure that the community is aware of that. And then connecting and building relationships with other assistance directors within Hendricks County and surrounding areas. I get quite a few phone calls for Washington Township and Marion County. So I have gotten to know the person that holds my role for that office pretty well. As well as some of the other township assistance directors within Hendricks County. And then improve system logging of case notes and referrals to all encounters populating to the TA7 form. So in previous years, there were not really anything populating to that form. And I'm very proud to say that there were numbers that populated for 2021. So just continuing to increase that so that we can provide the most accurate numbers of assistance given, as well as the time spent for that. And then my 2022 goals is to, again, attend the Indiana Township Association Conference, as well as 3 other trainings or conferences this year. Improve system logging of case management time, as that's kind of a barrier, just because if there's more than one case going on at one time, like trying to log that time accurately between the different cases. Again, continue to increase community awareness of township assistance and what our program has to offer. Continue to connect and work with other service providers within the township, with the assistance of our community engagement director, Karen Utley, explore opportunity for township employees to be able to give back within our community. And just, again, continuing to pursue personal knowledge of resources to stay abreast of the programs that could be of assistance other than what we're able to provide to our applicants.
Next up will be our Human Resource Director. Ashley Black.
Hi, I'm Ashley Black. I'm a Human Resources Director. Some of the 2021 goals One of them we completed was a voluntary benefits review. We partially completed the rollout of the mutual action plan, or MAPS. Those were not 100% completed last year. We plan on kind of revamping them and trying them again this year. Ongoing, partnering with the trustee to plan and implement ways to improve work culture. Another ongoing goal was develop retention plan and associated metrics. Another ongoing one was to work with the trustee on succession planning. We've done that, but as we add new positions, we need to continue with that. Some things that were not completed were deliver a leadership series to teach, coach, documentation, progressive discipline, PIPs, and compliance. And another thing that was not completed was to explore and create the sick leave donation policy. So 2022 goals of mine are to create a quarterly newsletter with beneficial HR information for staff members so that everyone knows kind of what's going on with their benefits and in the HR world. Work with department heads to create and improve the employee performance review process, to reevaluate compensation and benefit plans. I think that's kind of an ongoing thing that you should do every year just to make sure we're offering the best that we can to our employees. To create a supervised performance feedback program so that our supervisors know kind of where they're at and what we can help make them better supervisors with. Find ways to improve and support the employees' mental health. Working in this type of field, it's really a big one to make sure that we're supporting their mental health. Work with the parks to create an employee retention program, especially for their seasonal summer employees, so that retraining employees, seasonal summer employees every year, kind of save money there and time. And lastly, create and develop a developmental program to help staff and managers to accomplish their own personal goals.
Next up will be our community engagement director, Karen Nutley.
All right, hi, I'm Karen Utley, I'm the Community Engagement Director. And my role here just started last May. So my slides look a little bit different. I kind of started with 2021 and talks how we're going to progress into 2022 since I didn't really have 2021 goals at the beginning of the year. So basically in 2021, when I took over the position, one of the major goals was just to create an online social media presence for the Washington Township, Hendricks County. And just kind of get that out there and see if we can acquire some followers and start presenting information to the community. So we've got an Instagram and we have a Facebook account. We've started a newsletter and kind of see where our followers live. Majority of that's percentages live in Avon and then Indianapolis, Danville, Plainfield, Brownsburg, and the surrounding areas. But my 2022 goal is to just definitely continue to grow that. We're putting out information. We have a lot of things to share, but we want to make sure that more and more people get exposed to that. So that's definitely a goal, is to grow our online following. And then moving on, another accomplishment was creating the e-newsletter. We didn't have any sort of email communication from the township as a whole, and the park had started doing one as well. We kind of gave that a little bit of a facelift and doing that on a more consistent basis. So our 2022 goal is to grow our email newsletter list by at least 75%, continue to get those subscribers, and continue to touch in different areas, social media, online, in person, and get our information out there. We started a community connections, kind of a video vlog is what I would call it, not really a podcast since we're talking online. We held 5 of those because that was kind of something we started near the end of 2021, but my goal in 2022 is to try to host at least 2 of those per month, whether that's within our own Washington Township parks programming, fire department stuff that's going on, township things, or fundraisers that are out in the community working with the town. I know we just streamed today with the town of Avon and the chamber, and just really continuing to connect with our community residents. And then 3 major ones that we're working on. One is actually coming up this Saturday. And a lot of it is collaborating with the entities that are in our area. One of them is hosting a job fair, working with Town of Avon, the Chamber of Commerce, the schools, the library, parks, and just trying to help our residents in our community as well as the businesses that are in our area as well. The 2022 Washington Township Extravaganza event that's coming up in April, really what the whole driving force behind that event was to help our residents know where all of these places that we have are in our community. We've opened up quite a few new parks, and I feel like there's quite a few residents that might have no idea where Clock Park actually is, or where is Pecar Park. So that event stemmed from how can we get more and more people to know where these places are. So we're going to have an event there, not to go into too much detail about it here tonight, but we've got the police department, fire department, the library, and AJA, Avon Education Foundation, the schools, who else is coming, some nonprofits. All of our parks are going to be represented, and it's going to be a great community event. Looking forward to hopefully that will be a yearly thing that we can offer to the community. And finally, working with Jared, who's in the audience here tonight, to put together what we're going to call the Greater Avon Citizens Academy. Right now we have Fire Civilian Academy, and I know the police department does a Citizens Academy, I think is what they call theirs. And so this is going to be kind of like a bird's eye view of really what the township has to offer. We're going to talk about budgets, we're going to talk about fire department and the police department and the parks, and not really the nitty gritty of what's it like to be a firefighter and what's it like to be a police officer, but more of how the township and the town are working together to provide these services to the residents. So that's going to be a big one. I think that's going to be starting in July. It's going to be once a month. And we're hoping that 15 of our residents will sign up and take part and become advocates for our town and our township and help, give factual information out there to community members that have questions about what's going on in our community. So, any questions for me?
Okay, next up is our Parks Department, Laura Helmet.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura Helmick and I'm the Parks Director for Washington Township Park. So you can see here in 2021, these are our completed goals. So we began construction on Murphy Aquatic Park. We also created 9 holes of our 18-hole disc golf course. We added additional education elements to our trails at Pecar Park. We renovated the rain garden. We actually got a grant from Duke Energy, and so we are renovating our rain garden. And then we created in-house staff trainings. Some of our ongoing goals was to create a master plan that's more specific to the Parks Department. Also applying for grants to offset the cost of Murphy Park. And then putting up shade sails at Pecar Park next to our playground. Some of our plans were postponed due to COVID. So we had Wild Play International. We wanted to do a high ropes course throughout the wooded area in our main park. The company that we use, they are based out of Canada, and we can't actually get a physical person from Canada here. So that was postponed due to COVID. And then also before COVID hit, we were working with Hendrix Power to build a bridge over to our prairie area at Pecar. Right now, they're really not allowed to work with the community, and so that one has been postponed as well. And then the next one, we wanted to cut away some of the dead trees down there by our maintenance barn, create a gravel parking area to help some people get to the White Creek Trail a little bit easier, but that area is in a floodplain, so we can't. All right, our 2022 goals. So our first goal I talked about, we want to work with ZEC 8 Insights, which to help us create a comprehensive master plan for the Parks Department. We will be creating the grand opening for Murphy Aquatic Park, creating policies and procedures for the operations of Murphy Aquatic Park, and then working with the aquatics director to create sponsorship opportunities to help with the operations of Murphy Park. We also have working with our park maintenance staff to update some of our indoor animal enclosures for some of the animals at Pecar Park. We have the park naturalist will be finalizing that rain garden from the Duke Energy grant that we did receive. Putting up the shade sails next to Pecar Park. And then working with our park naturalist to transform our current bird aviary into a chicken observatory to educate the community on the importance of farm to table. Also, we will be adding the additional 9 holes to our disc golf course, making it a complete 18-hole disc golf course. We'll be working with the assistant director and the camp director to create a space for our camp program. It's grown so large that we would like to find a dedicated area for our camp program so that we can maximize the best use for our camp kids. And then working with our park maintenance staff to implement an outdoor pickleball court, which I know especially our staff is really excited about. And then working with the assistant director to redesign the upper park. So that's been a playground that I played on, that playground, and so that it needs a redesign, but we will keep the orange slide, but we're gonna work on that redesign of the upper park playground. And then last, we have working with the maintenance staff. Our current maintenance barn needs a lot of updates, so we're working with the maintenance staff to do a lot of updates to give them a great place to build a lot of the projects that we asked them to build. And that's it. Any questions? Thank you.
Yeah, final department will be the fire department, Chief Smith.
Good evening, my name is Dan Smith. I'm the fire chief at the fire department here at Washington Township. They used to make me go last because I usually took the longest, but that's not the case anymore now the park does. So I'm still the last one. She takes the most time. So our completed goals for last year, we decided we wanted to work on a succession plan for the fire department as a whole, and I appreciate the board's commitment to the fact that that was something that they saw value in. So we started working on that program, and we've been working on succession planning here in the fire department. Evaluate increased educational opportunities. A few years ago, we instituted a program so that it was a requirement for our senior level fire officers to have a minimum of an associate's degree that they had to have by the end of last year. And then our senior staff members were required to acquire a bachelor's degree, I believe it's by 25. So I was wanting to kind of reevaluate that, see how that is going. The program's going well, just so you know, we help fund that through the fire department budget, so we are using that opportunity to help increase the knowledge level of our personnel. And that's a best practice that's happening all across the United States, so I'm pretty proud of the fact that we're able to do that. Begin preparation for our next round of ISO evaluations. So those of you that don't know, your insurance rates that you pay on your homes and businesses are set by what's called the Insurance Services Organization. They come out about every 4 years and do an evaluation of your area. Our last one was, I believe, 3 years ago, so it comes, should be coming back next year, but I think after our meeting last year, they told us it could be next year actually before it gets done. But we had a meeting with ISO just to look over some of the deficiencies that we had the last time and to try to look at some opportunities of where we might be in the coming years. We're at 2 right now. The best you can get is a 1, and the worst you can get is about a 8 or a 9. So we're pretty high up there on the scale, but we still want to look for opportunities to increase that as much as we can. Evaluate the effectiveness of our first recruit class. So last year was our first opportunity to do our own in-house recruit academy for new hires that we had, and we were able to do that. Those people actually hit the street in the fall of last year. We started a new recruit class back in, when was it, Jason? August of last year. Our second recruit class, and those recruits just graduated about a month ago. So we've got 2 under our belts now. I think we've got probably one of the best recruit academies in the county, and I say that because of the people we have working here, but I think we've got a great program, and we've been fortunate to be able to develop that. Continued development of the new training ground. As everybody knows, with COVID last year, there's been a lot of supply chain issues, and we had some trouble with some vendors. We were hoping to have that project completed last year, but we're on target now to get the main body of that work completed. Hopefully, I think Don said in April. It may not quite be April, it may be more like June, but we have signed a final contract with the contractor. We're getting weekly updates from him, and we'll continue to move forward on building that facility out. And we do use that as part of our recruit academy. That's where we do most of our training. We also use that for our citizens academy that we do every year, and we use it for our junior academy that we do with younger kids there at the training ground also. Continue upgrades identified in the rainy day fund for Station 142. We increased the parking lot size at that station because we didn't have enough. We actually increased our parking lot at Station 141 this year, or last year too. Completed upgrades in the Bay Area of the building. We're actually in the process of getting that done right now. And then we're also looking at some long-range plans of what we may need to do with shower and bunk room facilities in that station down the road. Complete construction at Station 144, as Don alluded to earlier. Right now, it looks like we're probably going to take possession of that building sometime, probably second week in March. So we're probably looking at starting to run out of that building sometime first or middle of April, just depending on how things go. So our goals for 2022 is obviously complete the construction of the fire station and get it operational. We have hired the people. That was part of the reason we had the 2 recruit processes, was to get the people hired that we needed to man that station. Training grounds, again, get our tower built that we have planned for there. We're also going to put in a burn cell for our prevention division, and we've got some equipment that we're going to purchase to use there at the training ground. We're going to host our 3rd recruit class starting in April of this year. We've already extended offers to the personnel that we're going to do for that recruit class, but it'll start sometime in April and finish late in the fall of this year. We're also using our company level officers to help us do a lot of that training at the academy, so we're using our own people to help do that. So some additional goals. Our strategic plan comes to be redone next year. So toward the end of this year, the fire department will start looking at the strategic plan and kind of how we've impacted that with plans for how we're going to change that plan next year. New scheduling software. I don't know if any of you ever used the platform that's owned by Kronos. We use a staffing module called Telecenter, and there's a bunch of fire departments. Brownsburg uses it, Plainfield does, but there's a lot of fire departments across the United States that use it. And what it does for us, it allows us to not only put people in positions every day, but it automatically calls people back when we have staffing vacancies. Well, that system went down in November, wasn't it? Into November, 1st of December, and so we were kind of flat broke. And we had to start shuffling papers and figure out how to make things work. So we've actually found a new vendor that we're going to migrate to with a different company. We actually signed the contract this week to move to a new software scheduling package. New EMS division chief. We've hired a new EMS division chief. So our plan was to do that this year at the beginning of the year. That person's been hired. He'll actually start Tuesday of next week. And so part of our goal is to give him the support obviously he needs in his new role, and then obviously support the vision that he's got for that division as he continues down the road. One of the things that we've done this year is we've instituted an EMS duty officer. That's kind of a daily, kind of like EMS supervisor position we've instituted for this year. Our plan was to have that up and running at the first of the year, but because of the fact that we're hiring that new EMS division chief, we wanted him to have the opportunity to be a part of that program. So we're shifting that back a little bit, but we will be getting that program up and running this year. Under training, we're going to try to integrate our fire and EMS training. In the past, we've had our fire training people that have done their program and our EMS people that have done theirs, and sometimes we didn't realize the value in trying to integrate those two things together. So as an example, if we're having a live fire training and we want to train guys on how to impact somebody that could be injured in live fire training, well, we can do the live fire training that month. We can also do EMS training that supports that fire training. So you're really getting two trainings on the same type of situation. So we're trying to integrate those together so that they impact each other even better. We're also looking to train with other fire departments. We already do that, but we're one of the things that's coming up here in the next couple of months, I believe, is we're going to a county-wide, basically, what do they call it? Not active shooter, but what's the Asher. Basically, it's a program to take care of any kind of emergency responses that we would have with large potential of having injured patients. So as an example, that would include an active shooter. Just recently, almost all the career departments in the county purchased helmets, tactical helmets, and vests for all the people. We carry those on our apparatus now, but we're starting to train together, not just the fire department, fire, police, the sheriff's department, so that we're all kind of dancing to the same sheet of music. If we go in that kind of a run, then we all know what our roles and responsibilities are going to be. Under response, one of the things that we put into our budget this year is we saw a real need to have an off-road vehicle that we can use on the trails. We can't always get on those with pickup trucks, so one of the things we did was we put money in the budget this year to purchase I guess the correct term is a UTV, but it's basically an off-road type vehicle that we could get to places off the road and pick up a patient and transport them out to an area that we can get access to. And I believe that's it. So I'm on that. Thank you.
I don't know parts of the lawn.
So that basically completes our state of the township. The second part of this is the actual presentation of the annual report. Before I do so, the first thing I want to do is recognize the person who put that report together, which is our deputy trustee, Britt Wood. There's a lot of hours that she put in, and I know the board and I appreciate all her efforts in putting it together. If you picked up the handout tonight that we had out here, there's a place on there that you can actually scan that report, which is this entire book. This is every receipt of funds that were brought in this year, whether it was tax dollars or whether it was a pavilion rental or a shelter rental or a refund or whatever. It also shows all the expenditures, so it's very in depth and very detailed. I'm not going to go over all that. What I am going to go over is page 2, which is what we'll actually publish in the Republican. The state legislature changed what we have to publish. The entire report will be posted tomorrow sometime in Gateway, which anybody can go in and see. Along with that will be my letter that I always include explaining our cash reserves and what they're made up of. But the change the requirement as far as what we have to publish, and what we're publishing the Republican will be the actual page 2, along with the letter from me to the taxpayers. So basically, page 2 consists of showing every fund that we have, how our entire township funds are broken out. It shows our beginning balance of January 1 of this past year. It shows the total receipts that we took into each fund, the total disbursements that we did in each fund, and then our cash balance that we ended up with in each fund. So we started the year with $13,350,192.05, and we ended the year in $16,004,957.40. Way back when I first started in office in 2011, we were lucky to have $1 in the bank. And we built that up over the years with a lot of board help and department help. and building up reserves, okay? And so once we started having reserves, then we wanted to explain to the public, the taxpayers, why our reserves are what they are. So to break that out, I'm just basically gonna cover what this, I'm not gonna, go through the letter, but this will actually explain how we're doing this. But the $16,004,000 can be broken out of, first of all, is TAW avoidance. Up until 2017, this township still had to do a tax anticipation work. We were the only taxing entity in Hendricks County that was still doing that. What that means is we were borrowing money on our anticipated tax receipts of June. We received our property tax disbursements in June and December, just like the other taxing entities do. Obviously, our employees and our vendors don't want to wait till June to get paid. So we had to do tax anticipation warrants against that from the Indiana Bond Act. After we started getting up reserves, then we were able to have money laid aside so that we could do that, take care of that first 6 months. And so our financial advisor says for this year, we need to have $6,175,000. You heard me talk about paying off the two bonds, the park bond of 2007 and also the fire equipment bond. We have been saving up money over the years to do that. And so the total for that is $4,120,000. That includes the July payment that we'll be making for those two bonds. And then after that, the July payments have been made, then we'll be having the board do the paperwork with the bond council to do what's called defeasance. And what we're doing is we're going to pay the $3,700,000 over to a bond manager who will take care of the bond holders because they still have 5 more years of entitled payments. They'll take care of that. But you as the taxpayer will no longer be paying on those letters. So that total was 20-year bonds before will be paid off 5 years early as far as you're concerned. Our health insurance plan, back in 2017, 19, excuse me, we went to self-employed, self-insured plan. That's allowed us to have a level premium that we've not had increased since we did that. And what we do is we have funds in there for that purpose. We've dedicated $1,925,000 for that purpose. We have, the fire department had projects that they were going to do this last year, but however, due to COVID and supply chains, et cetera, they weren't able to do that. And to have that encumbered, you have to have contracts in place and that type of thing. So instead, they'll have to do an additional appropriation. So that came to $1,400,000. For the 2022 budget, Fire Q Fund and the Park Capital Fund have for the first 6 months basically $740,000 of capital projects planned. So that money is there for that purpose until we get the tax receipts in. I talked about encumbering. Fire department, Parks Department did have some contracts in place, but didn't start the projects last year. And actually, tonight the board will be encumbering $180,000 from the 2021 planned budget to pay for those projects. Then the other two things, when we did the budget back for 2021 in the summer of 2020, we did not know that the state was going to give everybody an extra lit payment of excess lit money. And our part came to $750,000. So that's reflected in this total amount. I probably plan on planning to ask the board later on to, take that money and transfer it over to rainy day to have there for possible projects in the future. The last thing is, when the fire department and the township worked on Station 144, the plan was to open that station in the fall of last year. Of course, that's when we did the budget in summer of 2020. Obviously, with the supply chains and everything else, you heard the chief say the project actually won't get done until March of sometime. And so therefore, we had over $714,957 of unspent fire budget money that would have gone to taking care of the personnel had it open back then, and also for the other things were needed as far as the equipment and that kind of stuff, and stuff for operating expenses on the station. So that's how that whole thing breaks out. So rather than think we're just sitting there on $16 million, this is actually how the whole thing breaks out. So before you have the annual report, and what I need for you to do as your statutory department, first off, change as chairman, is to sign the paperwork that was there.
Yes.
And there's a form there, actually. So you need to sign here that I gave you the actual annual report. And then after that, the three of you need to decide whether you're accepting the report as presented, or if you want to do option 2, where you're not accepting the report, or you're accepting the report with some exceptions, or not accepting the report at all. So basically you have 1 or 2 options there. So first of all, you'll need to sign as chairman on that, and then you guys need to decide how you want to, do that.
Decide option 1 or option 2.
And you just need to now sign it.
Okay. We do like a vote. So you need to decide if you want to choose option 1 or option 2.
I move that we accept it as presented.
Okay.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
This part actually completes the state township and also the annual report. You're free to stick around for the rest of the meeting. The rest of the meeting will be basically updates on the projects, on the 2 projects. And then also we have 2 resolutions that we're doing. So you're welcome to stay for that. That's up to you. But I appreciate everybody that did come to the state of the township and also the annual report.
Okay, so we'll move on to the rest of the meeting. We'll start off with old business. Chief Smith, I don't know if you want to cover training ground, position 144. Yeah, you kind of did.
Yeah, kind of. As I said, we signed our final contract with the builder for the tower. It's supposed to start. In fact, he's already got the containers and stuff. He started working on it. So what they do is they build it in Texas, they disassemble it and bring it down here, put it back together. And we've got the fence still to put up and some other stuff. We're working through that stuff. Station 144.
Go ahead.
Oh,
That's my thing.
I'll stand up here with you.
Well,
I appreciate the support. So as Chief mentioned, we're looking for early March for substantial completion, which is great. And considering that we just did the state of the township, but I remember back when we first started, we were over budget on this project by $65,000. Today we're on budget. In fact, we still have $93,850 left in the owner contingency, $27,948 in the construction contingency. So we're in pretty good shape. The fire department's been doing a fantastic job working on procuring FF&E items, and really the activities that are going on right now are a lot of finishes. So both exterior and interior, with interior finishes as well as mechanical, electrical, plumbing, etc. So some delayed items that we have been talking about in the past, like the roofing, that all got resolved. The roof is on, thank goodness. So things that'll be kind of hanging out there for the spring will be painting of the exterior as well as landscaping and top coating of the asphalt. But other than that, I think everything's coming together really nicely, and be pretty proud to turn this over. We'll of course stick with the project for the next year through the warranty period and make sure everything continues to function and work as it should. So, any questions?
And do you see that contingency, those funds continue to hold, or do you see it?
At this point, I do. We don't really have, we've done all unless there's something, an owner item that we determine we need to procure, there's really, at this point, we've got everything in place. The generator is planning on coming later. It's delayed, but we've got funds in place and accounted for the electrician to come back and hook that up.
There's no unsuitable soils or anything like that that we need to deal with. We've got beyond all of that, so I anticipate that we'll be holding those odors.
I think one of the only things that we haven't taken possession of is kitchen table, and it's kind of hard to find one as big as what we need in the station. We contacted a couple of contractors, we're still kind of waiting for the bid to come back on that, but it'll be well below. I mean, it's
Yeah.
It's not gonna cost
Be a nice
us $7,000. Yeah, so, yeah, we should be pretty close on both. to what they are now. Gonna pour the apron tomorrow. I was out there this afternoon, and they were prepping the pad to get it poured, and a lot of the doors are done with the interior ceilings for carpets down in a good portion of the building. So
We were coordinating about the wall graphic, so when you come in the front entrance, there's a wall graphic that extends along the whole front there. We're pretty excited about that. But
yeah, it's kind of neat. It's kind of a time span.
Yeah.
So we've got some older firefighters, an old fire truck, a newer firefighter, and our name on it, but it basically spans the wall coming in. But it's kind of cool because the older firefighters are they're not real clear. It's a little bit fuzzy, but then it kind of gets clearer as you go down. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Should I just stay up here?
Sure.
Have to move up that way.
Wherever you want to go. Okay.
All right, you can go first.
All right. So for Murphy Park, I'll kind of start the same way I did with 144. This is a little bit different. This was, anybody that does a capital project in a municipality today, they're complicated. And with the supply chain issues that we have, it's crazy when we're doing projects like these. But we started this project out early on at $496,000 over budget. That's scary to walk into a project like that. But we doubled down and we worked with Laura and her staff and the contractors. Today we're on budget, which is great. We had to go through some efforts to look at the playground and determine that was really kind of the hinge-pin of how we had to figure out how we're going to deliver that. We actually ended up rebidding that and saved $116,000, which was great. And then there's a lot of other efforts that happened with FF&E procurement, saving money there. So as of today, we have $89,897 remaining in owner contingency. We have $90,842 in construction, and we still have $89,951 remaining in unsuitable soils. Now we still have the acceleration and decel lanes to construct on 625. I anticipate with the spring weather, we anticipate probably having to use some of those unsuitable soils. But I think we'll be in really good shape. And as of right now, everything's accounted for in the budget. So the playground, the entire pool, everything, the administration, all the FF&E. Right now, as far as construction activities in the administration building, all the buildings are up. If you've not been out there seen. But we're working on drywall and rough finishes, et cetera, in the administration building. The pool house, we're roughing in all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing. In the mechanical equipment room, it's actually amazing to go in that mechanical room. The equipment is just massive, and Spear is getting all that installed. We're doing everything that we can, just as we had hoped and planned, that during these winter months when it was unsuitable, we didn't want to be pouring the concrete for the pool. We got all through that, and the pool is poured, and we're working on the mechanicals, interior of the buildings as we should be. So we're in great shape, and I'll say the contractor will probably have a heart attack, but I'll say we're shooting for occupancy the week of the 23rd of May. Wow, is what we're shooting for. So excited
I know
about
it's
that.
the 28th. They have it on their desk.
We have a countdown at our OAC meetings.
Yes.
Yes.
Just my part, I just wanted to say, I think in large part, the reason we are so on track is because of the park staff, Meredith, and then also our construction company that we picked. We're very happy with them. They took a chance, stored a lot of equipment ahead of time, and I think because of that, we're on time to do what we want to do, and we've been able to save some money. And on budget now. So that's exciting to hear since every meeting we were way over. We did hire an aquatics director. Liz Blake joins us now, and she has been a wealth of knowledge. We're glad to have her on board. We're learning a lot from her. In the past month, we have unveiled our pricing to the community. We've also opened up for rentals to the community. We've opened up for season passes. And then we're starting to open up for some of the programming that we're doing, the sensory days. We're opening up for swim lessons, private lessons for swimming. And then we're working through kind of already starting to plan for our grand opening event that we'll be having on May 28th. And then Stephanie, a big kudos to Stephanie, our assistant director. She has been building out our online registration system, which is not that easy to do. But she has done all the waivers on there. She has built the entire system, all of the rental facilities, all of the money that goes in there, the POS system. She built that all out this last month. We've decided to go with StarGuard for our lifeguard training program. And so we are working through that and getting some of our staff trained as well. We were able to save over $140,000 in our FF&E purchasing. And then we are currently hiring for lifeguards, admissions and concessions. And then shortly we'll be hiring for our pool manager, so see us at the job fair on Saturday. That's it. Any questions?
So on the playground, you agreed that is it kind of what you originally wanted?
It's actually better.
Okay.
The playability it's a lot better. The design, I think we'll be really happy with the ending result of it. We were very happy with the design that we got because it gave us all of the features that we wanted for inclusivity without, subtracting any of the play value for that. And then we're actually able to add a nonverbal communication board for some of our participants that cannot communicate what they want to do next, where they want to go, what their needs are. And so they'll be able to do that through this nonverbal communication board.
That's the one thing on the playground that with the substantial completion in May, the playground will actually come later in the summer, just with procuring that. So, but that's okay.
Yeah.
We can open the park, there'll be no problem with occupancy with that, so.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we got the financial. All right, new business. We have the 2021 encumbrance resolution 021522-01.
You have the resolution and the backup information. There are projects there, fire and parks, they have. To encumber funds, you have to have a signed agreement or a contract or a bid, that kind of thing. You just can't wing it and say it's gonna cost this much. So you have that backup information, and these are funds that we have budgeted for as 2021, so what you're doing is covering that money to pay for these projects.
I move we adopt resolution 02-1522-01, a resolution to encumber appropriations from the 2021 budget.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Second, resolution up is a surplus resolution. This is resolution 02152202.
So before the township can either destroy or sell or give away objects, that we own, the board has to declare it surplus. So these are the items that we declare surplus. The first three were parks, and the last one was a shredder that was in this building here that basically put on us all together. So that's why we have these four items listed.
I will make a resolution to approve number 021522-02, declaring surplus equipment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's all we have for new business. public comment or wishes to be heard?
I have one wishes to be heard. First thing is, the fire department, fire administration has that requested a workshop with you to go over some of these projects that we're talking about of that $1.4 million. And what we propose to do is immediately following the March 15th meeting, the three of you are okay with that, then we'll post that, so we'll post the agenda. We'll also post an agenda for the workshop to immediately follow that meeting. So we're anticipating no more than an hour for that presentation. The other part of my wish to be heard, I want to thank everybody that came tonight. We really appreciate it. For those of you that are on live stream, which I know quite a few people have said they would be, appreciate that too. It's good that when people take an interest in what things are happening, and this is one way to do that, is to come and encourage people to come to town council meetings, township board meetings, school board meetings, and library board meetings, so that you hear what's going on in this great community of ours. 2022 is going to be a super fantastic year for this community. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you all. Yep.
Curious if you're staying to the township's presentation, can we post it on the website online, the slides?
Educated person saying yes, so yes. That was the intent.
I just wanted to extend also a thank you, Brett. Thank you for everything you did for the annual report and how many hours you spent on that, and all the department heads. All the information is fantastic, and it's really exciting to see what we've done in a year, because you don't think it's that much, and then you put it up there, and it's like, wow, look at everything we've done. So, and John, thank you for leading us through all of that.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming, and thanks for getting us back on budget. Yeah, so a little bit harder when we got that back. That's awesome. All right, if nothing else, we will adjourn effective.
Like a motion.
Well, sorry.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 7:32 PM.
And I guess I'll